the state of Cameroon.
Yes, we started. You can speak in any language, English or Pidgin.
When somebody meets you, you begin to ask you which language. I don't think that's an important question. Begin to ask you what state are you. That's why you begin to feel it's difficult as if you are not one.
Did you get that? I think that's one of the reasons why you don't have any document on earth, even at the UN Secretariat, showing that Southern Cameroon joined with La République. There's no document. Just like you saying you have a wife, but they actually you don't have any court marriage document, you don't have any traditional this thing, but you call the wife your wife. The fact that you have been having children with the wife, with a lady, doesn't make her your wife, because we know how to get married to a woman in Africa, even in Europe. So there has never been a marriage between Cameroon and Southern Cameroon. So you can see where the fraud started. But that word Federal Republic of Cameroon kept the two moving until the 4 years of ages. But you quite understand that in 1984, without consulting anybody, Biya changed the name of the United Republic of Cameroon to La République, going back to the original status of 1960, meaning that the marriage ended the relationship between Cameroon and Southern Cameroon ended 1984. So anything between that time and now is null and void. Most people will tell you about the Southern Cameroonian conflict beginning 2016. This is something that has been going on for decades, and we have been in it for decades. And you know quite well that before independence in the 60s, we had La République du Cameroon and we have Southern Cameroon. So when the two merged together after that fraudulent plebiscite, where the Anglophones, simply because they knew, you can begin to see this assimilation, simply because they knew that the Frenchians didn't understand French, they asked them a question and gave them 2 options as an answer. We would like to have independence by joining La République du Cameroon. On the question, on the answer sheet is you choose one. Answer A was yes. Answer B was oui. My name is Ernest Cho. Yeah, I come from southern Cameroon, which is known as Ambazonia. That's my place of birth. Yeah, so I think presently as we are talking, I'm talking as a leader of the refugees in Nigeria, in Abuja, Nigeria. Being a refugee here is not really easy, but since it was something that one could not avoid, one had to find himself in it, because once you stand as an activist, you just need to accept whatever comes your way. Just because of the struggle too, we faced a lot of persecution here. We were even at one point found ourselves behind the bars from the authorities here just because of the struggle. As I'm talking to you, I have a court judgment here, 2008. That is far back before 2016 that you people know. 2008, I have it with me, where the Federal High Court in Abuja outrightly gave a judgment in favor of us, that we were not terrorists, we were just refugees that we were vulnerable people that needed protection. And as you know, concerning the discrimination, the inhuman treatment given to us as second-class citizens, I think by that February, I think that should be February 5th, or so, when the lawyers and the teachers began their strike, that enough is enough because of the Okada law. You can imagine that English section, they will send a French teacher who does not even know how to speak English to come and teach in there, The teachers there could not get it. The lawyers, the common law, we practice common law in that area, while the French people practice a complete different type of law, which is strange to us. The teachers and lawyers strike went through for quite some time, close to 6 to 7 months, because it was finally, I think that was September 22nd, when the whole Anglophone region went to the streets with leaves that enough is enough. In that process, you people saw helicopter gunships came to fire at civilians who were carrying leaves, demonstrating for their rights.
It's making the mic.
You can imagine that as we are talking, we have over 100,000 Southern Cameroonians refugees in Nigeria. You can see the situation. Some of us who are mostly in the humanitarian department, going around begging for resources, begging for things to go and take care of those in the camp. What we know, what we see, you can't really understand. Because if you visit some of these camps, a whole generation of children, you just need to see what we see on the camp. In some of those camp communities, you have children of 3, 4, 5 years who don't know where their parents are. Don't know who is their father, who is their mother. The most painful part of it is the young girls in most of these camps, 12, 13 years pregnant.
I'm just grateful for life. That's just being alive is a great testimony, and seeing my remaining kids still alive, because back there they killed so many children too. They will slaughter them like so. Seeing them alive with myself, and I'm so grateful. I give God praise every day. I know one day refuge will come somewhere, somehow. I believe deep in me like that. My arrival, we arrived at Ecom State, as a Cross River. So we arrived there, and then we took a bus to Abuja here, to the federal capital, thinking it will be easy, and just like easy as we thought. But it's not that very easy, because when we came here, accommodation is a problem, even right up to date. Even right up to now, so I'm saying accommodation, feeding, and what more, education, and even job. There is no job. There is no job. Even not job. It's rare. It's not. So we arrive here and we go to the UNHCR at Secretariat, the Federal Secretariat. So we went there and seek for asylum, me with my 3 children. That's the 4 of us. So they have granted us the asylum here. They have granted us the asylum. They have given us the asylum. So that's just one thing I like, that they have given us. But like in any other aspect, there is nothing, especially shelter. There is no shelter. There is no food. We go on a long run with starving. As many of the refugees in this Abuja, precisely. I will not talk more of a Cross River State, because there is another level. There is no like, they are suffering. We are suffering. You get me? We are suffering. We are really suffering. We are really in deep pains, a pains that we don't know when it will be relieved. Oh, we are just hoping that one day, a savior, one day, we might have we might have aid or help somewhere, somehow.
What sort of aid have you received from the Nigerian government? I'm assuming they know that you're here. They know you're in the country.
I believe they know we are here, but I haven't received any aid except the December package of COVID-19 last year, which was not very presentable, because most of the goods we threw it because they were spoiled. Now this is a season of groundnut. Normally, I do boiled groundnut, and my children, they will hawk it with me. And with maize, Mali will roast maize on the road, and then we go for, it was like akara and puff-puff, puff-puff, benya. We do puff-puff and donuts for salt. So that's just how I've been rubbing my hands from here to here. That's to see food on the table with the children. It's not enough, because there are many days we stand up from the morning, we will not eat. Again, we don't have breakfast to take. Today, we have to stand up. I have to go rush to the market and make the market women too. We start dragging on the groundnuts, the peanut, that's the fresh nut on the market. So the little money you can let's take breakfast. You see, no, you can buy 2-3 measures of groundnut and make some income.
My name is Fepsa Eric. I originate from anyway, I was born and bred in Buea. Buea is a town in Cameroon. I left home sometime in May 2015. And the reason why I left home is very simple. Simple and at the same time complex, because I had gotten myself into activism, political activism, if you want to call it that way, but I choose to call it revolutionary political activism. When people have been calling the government, trying to call the government to look at the right thing. Listen, this is something that needs to be fixed. Mr. President, this is what you're doing that is wrong. And continuously, people have been detained, people have been locked up, intimidated, but it has mostly been preoccupied. It has mostly been predominantly done in the past by the old. That is why I was concerned about the youth. A result of a realization of the true history of this place, that I took it upon myself, not alone, many others. I was just involved in the sensitization and education campaign, especially to the youths, so that they come to the realization, they know the true history, then we try to see how we can right the wrongs of the past. I began being monitored by the government. The monitoring was all over, physically and even all my social media accounts. So I was being monitored and I was arrested sometime and locked up. Released later. Maybe they thought that arrest and locking me up would be a deterrent to stop me not to continue doing what I was doing. But it didn't seem to me like I could stop it. One fateful evening, by around 8 p.m., I got a call. From Europe, and I was advised to leave immediately. That they have gotten intelligence information that secret service agents from the capital, from Yaoundé, are around. But I left that evening, went to a nearby town, slept there, then left to the nearby town, slept again at some other place. In fact, I slept one night each in a house. I never slept 2 nights, because betrayal is real, treachery is real. You never know what can come up next. So it came to a point where I saw like I couldn't sleep in the house again, so I slept in the bushes. Simple. The grasses will not betray me. Yeah, so I stopped sleeping in homes. So it got to a point that I was advised to cross into BB. That's our language, we call BB. That's a big border, that's Nigeria.
What was the hardest part about leaving Cameroon?
Leaving the people you love so much, leaving your family. You know, before then you have had dreams. Before this time, I would have done this in Cameroon, I would have done this, and suddenly everything, you had to push it back. But being a man and an activist, being a man, you just had to keep moving. And I think it is that aspect that made me to take up my life, to give my life as a humanitarian. The type of Mother Teresa's humanitarian. You know, Mother Teresa had nothing, but was the highest giver on earth of all times. She was a reverend sister. That sounds ironical, right? That he had nothing, but he was the greatest giver. So how was he given? Go around begging to go and give to the needy.
I live in Nigeria right now. in an excruciating condition, excruciating predicament. This is because of activism. I live in Nigeria now as a refugee. This is because of activism. I live in exile. I've been locked up, I've been detained. In fact, I live in squalor in Nigeria because of activism. So I've not seen any of my family members for 6 years and running, because what is happening at home now is war. Because the boys have all picked up weapons that are of equal capacity to what the military has. So it is bullet for bullet now.
There was a time there was a newspaper that comes out. They were repatriating Cameroonian refugees back, so they were being called back to their homeland, and not even just like that to go and live, but they were being prison. So you see all that fear and grievance. And secondly, I was like, there is this a twin brother whom the military broke the bargain into his room. They were lying down together. So because another person pinpoints him during the day, I don't know the hour or the moment that they pinpoint him. So they came during that odd hour, around 2 a.m. in the night, where everybody was asleep. They barged the door and they picked him. Up to date, we don't know if he is alive or he's dead. We don't know. Nobody knows. Nobody knows his whereabouts, because for like they picked more than 100 of them, 100 of those youths at that area that same night. They saw so many. There's so many of them. They are dead bodies, but they rove around. We haven't seen that my brother. We haven't seen his own corpse. When we left, my children, that's my husband, was nowhere to be found at that given stage, at that given time. So we left without him. So it has really been a stress, a trauma. In fact, it has really been a nightmare to us. It was not easy because we didn't come with anything. We just came like that.
What keeps you hopeful about the future?
Because I have God.
Can you go more in depth?
Yeah, because I have God. Christ in me, the Bible says Christ in me is the hope of glory. That's even the glory, present glory and the future glory. So I have hope. I have hope that definitely with the Christ in me, things will definitely turn around. God still keep us. So I do still believe. I know God is there. God is on his throne. He's watching. I know. I just believe like that.
Religious? Oh, I'm a teacher of the word. And I'll say something to you that will sound so funny. I hate pastors. I just hate them with passion from my study. I'm one of those people that now I will tell you without any fear of favor that Africa does not need a single pastor. Africa needs teachers of the word and not pastors. Because Africa, our great-grandparents, our earlier parents who embraced Christianity were doing the right thing. This generation, the new generation, has just turned Christianity to another thing, such that even the white man who brought Christianity to us, when they come here, they are always shocked. They are always surprised the way we do things. We don't need... the church today is telling a lot of lies to the people. Especially the new generation church. They preach tithes which has nothing to do with their Christianity. Jesus Christ never ever preached tithes. That's why you don't find tithes in the New Testament. I'm a Christian. Christianity is New Testament. I'm not a Jew. I don't practice Judaism. I practice Christianity. And Christianity doesn't ask you to pay tithes anyway. That's why for 3 years that Jesus Christ preached, the word tithe came out of his mouth once. And you guessed what he was saying. Matthew 23, chapter 23. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, you hypocrites! For you pay tithes of mint and cumin and anise, and have omitted the most important aspect of the Lord. Some edition of the Bible say the weightier part. You know what you mentioned weightier? Justice, which is love. According to Jesus, if you don't love your colleague in the office, you pay tithes, you're a hypocrite. Anybody you see, anybody you call your enemy and you pay tithes, you're a hypocrite. You go and pay tithes and your neighbor child is hungry, Jesus say you're a hypocrite. You know, there are places if I stand and say what I say, they will stone me to death, thinking that they are right because they've been brainwashed to make that tithe this thing. You know, but I tell them that's not Christianity. Africans don't practice Christianity. We practice hypocrisy. There's no way you can pray to become rich and you are rich. It's a lie. It's a fat lie. Because how to become rich, I discovered it in the Bible. It's right in the Bible, the earliest pages of the Bible. Then there was no Christianity. At the time God made that promise, every human being made in my image and likeness, whether good or bad, whether you are a thief, you are an armed robber, you are a prostitute, if you go to the farm, work, plant yam, when rain fall, it will grow. When harvest comes, you will harvest. That's why the richest people in the universe are atheists. They are not Muslim, they are not Christians. The pastor who gathered people put in church and begin to say, my God is rich, is dedicating second-hand cars. Cars from people you call unbelievers. Is that not ironic? Bill Gates is not a Christian, I don't think. Zuckerberg is not a Christian, I don't think. What makes them rich? Work. To bless the works of your hands. That's why in my mission, in my humanitarian drive, all I cry is that people should make resources for us to empower people.
Why does God allow such thing?
Why does? Oh my goodness! These are some of the questions that has made that has made atheists have wet feet. Why does God let this happen? That's a question I cannot answer. I think maybe that's for God to answer that.
Well, I thought God allowed it to happen with a reason. With a reason. He has his reason best known to him, because you can't know God's all.
For God to lift you up, He has to put stones on you. Sometimes the things you go through, you think is suffering. No, God might just be preparing you to be strong enough so that by the time He gives you what He's giving you, you are matured and ripe enough to carry that thing. God never disappoints. God can only delay you by a purpose.
Even in the days of old, as the Israelites, they do goes in for war, especially if they see what is their interest, and with the lead of God, yes, they will go and fight in to take him back what belongs to them. So it's not a neutral something. God is aware, God knows. And during that days, many people too, they were being killed, sure. During the days back of God, they were being killed too, because there is no war that will not shed blood.
So do you think that's an acceptable excuse for what is happening right now in Cameroon?
No, I don't think so, but it might be.
The most painful experience throughout this journey is the fact that I'm living in a strange land with no source of livelihood, no major source of livelihood. Things are difficult. I'm without loved ones. That's the most painful part of the journey. What makes me most angry about the situation is the fact that it's being neglected by the international community. When I talk about international community, I mean, number one, the United Nations. And the irony of the whole thing is that the international community are the architect of the problem in the first place, because they initiated the problem.
American governs the world. They rule the world. So I believe they would have come up and put an end or stop to the ongoing crisis, because so many homes, so many families, they have been disgusted. Some, they have been totally terminated from the earth.
It might interest you to know that there are Nigerians here who don't know there's a war in Cameroon that has more than 30,000 people have died.
When was the last time you tuned to CNN and see a documentary about the Ambazonian crisis?
The global media report selectively.
Just like every day before you want to put on your TV set, they must be telling you something about Afghanistan that does not even have any crisis. They will be telling you about Syria that is just like that and blah, blah, blah. They begin to tell you stories from places that you don't even understand the story, why they are saying so. Within the last 2 years, the conflict that has produced the highest number of deaths in the planet now is Ambazonia. But a lot of people don't even know, because the media is completely absent.
They report things. You just need an accident for 2 people to die. Then you see all the global media, because 2 Caucasians died, or maybe 2 whites died in other society, you see they report it.
You just get up one morning and you want to hear that one country this, that, before you hear UN, America, this, and they've sent the UN forces there, or they begin to send. But the Southern Cameroonians have been left on their own. But I see it as a blessing, because when I studied the situation of Southern Cameroon, I discovered that's one of the richest territory in the whole universe. For those who have happened to go to Ambazonia, you know. That will be a country where, when the independence is declared, the first major thing they will have to do, I would like to have this, what they call peace and reconciliation. And then 2, they should set a committee to beg for people to come and help work, because the work they will be above them. We need UN forces down. We need them to impose stronger sanctions on those that are blocking negotiation. And for this to happen, the number 1 condition on earth is you must free all political prisoners. You cannot be talking on negotiation when the leader of Ambazonia is in the prison. It's a lie. You arrested them because they were leaders, right? So if you want to negotiate, with who will you negotiate now?
We are fighting to get Ambazonia. We are fighting for a land that we can truly call our own. We are fighting for a land where we can pass judgment in the law courts using the common law under common law jurisdiction. We are fighting for a system where we can have an educational system of our own that is representative of the society, that is a representation of what the society needs from somebody who leaves school, and not the sham that we have right now that has been imposed by the occupier of our land, which is Cameroon.
Destiny has allowed us to fight for ourselves, so that when we finally stand, we shouldn't get a colonial master. Cameroon can't breathe today because the least decision is taken by France. Ambazonia will be the only country when no country will come to stand to say, we are your master, we take decision for you. God wants you to be an independent people. You have been fighting for freedom. God wants to give us the type of freedom that nothing is attached to it. So we are just paying that price for that type of independence. So in every bad thing, see a very good picture.
I'm an Ambazonian. Freedom starts from the mind. You tell yourself who you are. People don't tell you who you are. A certain Robert Mugabe, when fighting for what the British had called Southern Rhodesia, stood up someday and said, hey, we are not Southern Rhodesians, we are Zimbabweans. This is our name. Identify us as Zimbabweans. You choose who your name is. I remember even the famous Kunta Kinte story, a black slave who was taken from Africa, and when he went to the Americas, he wanted to change his name. He said, no, I am Kunta Kinte. He was tortured almost to the point of death. He told him, say your name is Toby. He said, I am Kunta Kinte. Tortured, he said, I am Kunta Kinte. And it is the same thing with Dahomey, that is today Burkina Faso. Thomas Sankara said, we are Burkinabe. So we are Ambazonians. That is our name. I am not Cameroonian, I'm Ambazonian. I'm freed from the mine already. But what are my hopes for the future? My hopes for the future is that someday we'll get to see a free Ambazonia, a place that all of us can call home. That's my hope for the future.
One of my biggest joy is that I already see joy in the things. I'm glad because I know my kids will have a country called theirs, and they will enjoy the country, which is Amazonia. We're struggling now, suffering now for them to enter that place that we call the land of milk and honey. So we don't bother about what we go through now, but we know they will enter where they will celebrate. The future is bright. Ambazonian future is the brightest future. That's the biggest joy I have for now. Sometimes when I want to think of one or two things, I console myself very well because I see Ambaland, land of honey. Yeah. Ambaland will be the Uncle Sam of Africa.